What is up, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the Daniel Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody. This is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling, and I'd like to thank you guys so much for joining. Now, before I get started on the reason why we're here, let me just say that sorry that I was not able to do a SmackDown review last night because, as we know, SmackDown was on FS1. I do not have access to cable. And while I do have access to internet in certain apps, I do not have access to cable. And I think it would not be fair to talk about something that I don't have all the information to. For example, there was one time where Roman Reigns cut a promo and he mentioned John Cena being the missionary Baptist leader. Everyone ate that up, but because it wasn't a PG subject, they edited in WWE highlights. And so if it had been on FS1, I wouldn't have been able to call all the stuff that I saw. And I think it would only be right if I can tell you every big thing that sometimes they may leave out, because sometimes the highlight channel will leave things out. However, I will say I am very excited about the tribal combat match that is to come at this year's SummerSlam, as well as I'm happy that on one hand, I was like, darn it, I was expecting LA Knight to win the four-way, but I'm glad Rey Mysterio won because it is a lesson on how God don't like ugly theory. But in any event, let's get to the real reason we're here. Speaking of God, today is the day of one of his favorite wrestlers, HBK Shawn Michaels. That's right, today is Shawn Michaels' birthday. And usually I give top 10 countdowns on my best favorite matches of wrestlers. But today I'm going to do something a little bit special by doing a top 10 countdown on dream matches from Shawn that we wish we could have seen Shawn have. So let's get into it. We're going to start at number 10. This is a real good dream match here. We have Shawn Michaels versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, I know what Dolph Ziggler would say if he saw this. It should have been me first. But in any event, this being at number 10 certainly doesn't make it look any less than great. This would be an excellent dream match between these two. Both men have a very similar vibe to them. Both men love to use super kicks. But in my personal opinion, if this match had happened, let me adjust the cameras real quick. If this match had happened, I am very confident that Shawn Michaels would win that match against Dolph Ziggler. And Dolph Ziggler is a very talented guy. But if that happens at a SummerSlam or something like that, Shawn Michaels would definitely win. Number 9, we have Shawn Michaels versus one of his trainees, Bryan Danielson, formerly known as Daniel Bryan. Now, these two almost had a fight because keep in mind, Shawn Michaels once cost Daniel Bryan the championship at Hell in a Cell 2013 against Randy Orton. Nonetheless, the fact that you have two great technically sound guys going at it, that would make an excellent match. Now, who would win this match? I believe Shawn could win this one as well, but I do believe it would be very competitive. And if it happened more than once, Bryan Danielson would probably have a victory. But who would win the rivalry? Shawn. Next at number 8, this is another good one. Shawn Michaels versus Adam Cole, baby. By the way, let me just give a quick opinion on something. Don't trust the devil. On when MJF and Adam Cole face FTR at Collision in a couple of weeks for the tag team championships. That is going to be my prediction when MJF turns on Adam Cole. I'm telling you, you can't trust the devil. The greatest thing the devil ever did was convince people that he was a good friend and business partner. Axe Damson Idris. But in any event, well, he just had a couple of nightmares. But in any event, moving forward, Adam Cole versus Shawn Michaels. That would be a good one in my personal opinion. Both men are known for super kicks. Adam Cole was the top star of NXT, which was part run at the time by Shawn Michaels. Now Shawn has complete control. But imagine if this had happened at a top grandest takeover of them all. Shawn Michaels versus Adam Cole would be a great match. Now, who would win? Probably Michaels, but it will still be a good one. I think Adam Cole has a chance of getting this one, though. Speaking of someone with a good fighting chance, next at number 7, we have Shawn Michaels versus the Icon Sting. Woo! That was terrible, but it was worth a try. But in any event, both these guys would make a great WrestleMania or SummerSlam match together in their prime. Now, I must say, Sting in this age, I don't think you have a guy near his 60s that is able to do the things. Is he in his 60s? This doggone it, the man is in his 60s. When he first came to WWE, he was 55, so he probably early 60s. But the fact that a man in his early 60s can fly off a ladder and smash someone through a table is something. But in any event, Sting in his prime versus Shawn Michaels. That would be a match made in heaven. Ironically, both men are spiritual people, and many years ago, Shawn Michaels and Sting were part of an interview on a Christian network known as TBN, but these two would make an excellent match. Now, who would win? Sting has a chance. This is one of those matches where Sting could beat Shawn Michaels. But then again, Shawn could get a win at some point as well. But who would win the rivalry if they were to have a rivalry? Like best 2 out of 3 events? Not sure. But I know Shawn Michaels would win one pay-per-view and Sting would win another. But these two have never faced off. They had an encounter when Shawn Michaels interfered for Triple H's behalf at WrestleMania 31. But we never had these two one-on-one. And I think that would be an excellent match to have. At number 6, this is a good one. At number 6, we have Shawn Michaels versus Jeff Hardy. But in a ladder match, an Intercontinental Championship ladder match. And this is why. Shawn Michaels and Jeff Hardy had faced off on WWE Raw one time, and I believe was early 08. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that one was where Jeff won. But I did think to myself, first off, Jeff, you shouldn't be wrestling with a lip ring on because his mouth was bleeding because of the piercing. But they have never faced off in a ladder match. We know that Shawn Michaels was one of the first people to set the bar for the ladder match, including WrestleMania 10. And then 6 years later, Jeff Hardy would take the next 2 WrestleManias to make iconic memories with ladders and even tables and chairs. So when you have 2 masters of ladder matches and high flyers in one ring, that would be awesome. Now, who would win a ladder match between Jeff Hardy and Shawn Michaels? Or better yet, let's up the ante. Instead of it being a ladder match, let's make it a TLC match. Because the stipulation is the same, it's just more weapons. But who would win that match? I'm lost. You guys got to let me know your opinion on that one. But I know it would be an excellent dream match. Next, at number 5, we have Shawn Michaels versus CM Punk. Now, this is a funny joke for you. You have the straight edge atheist versus the reborn spiritual guy. It is well documented that Shawn Michaels in the new millennium became a born again man and changed his life for the better. However, we also know that while CM Punk is a straight edge guy, he's also an atheist. Nonetheless, we're not here to talk about beliefs and all. I'm just pointing out a couple of fun facts. However, this would make a great match between the best in the world versus the showstopper. I honestly don't know who would win that one, but I know it would be awesome. Let me know in the comments, who do you think would win that one? I believe it is 60. This is more, I would say a 60-40. The 40% is for Punk and the 60 is for Shawn Michaels, in my personal opinion. Now, here's another one at number, let me see. That was number 5. At number 4, we have The Rock. Shawn Michaels, aka Chad Frost, versus The Rock. This is a match we never got to see. Like Sting versus The Undertaker, Rock and Shawn Michaels is a match we will never get to see. And it would have been awesome, especially considering that little angle with the Shad Frost thing and it being Shawn Michaels. That would be an extra angle to put in the rivalry. But those two would have had an amazing match together. I would have loved every minute of it. Both men occasionally use the sharpshooter, as does Shawn Michaels versus Sting. That would have been a good submission match. But with The Rock and Shawn, there was that issue with Shad, but I don't know who would win. Who do you think would win against Shawn? I actually made a short of that. Shawn Michaels versus The Rock. Who do you think would win that one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. At number 3, we have Shawn Michaels versus the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. Now that's a good one right there. That is a really good one. You have Shawn Michaels, what needs to be said about him. You have AJ Styles, one of the longest reigning WWE World Heavyweight Champions in SmackDown history, overshadowing JBL's record, by the way. Right in front of JBL on commentary. How does JBL feel about that? Nonetheless, you have these two. Both men are, from time to time, high flyers. Both men almost have the same size, even though that's funny. But there are a lot of common things about these guys that would make an excellent dream match at WrestleMania or SummerSlam, to say the least, or even the Royal Rumble. But nonetheless, this is one of those matches that I literally think is a 50-50 chance. But who are your picks on those? But I think, as far as who would win, this is a 50-50 as far as Shawn Michaels having a chance of winning is concerned. This one right here is going to be a hard pick for me. Number 2, we have Shawn Michaels versus Seth Rollins. Now, I really don't have a pick for that one. I really can't pick because you have Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania, the master of the ladder match. Then you, the Grand Slam champion, also. He's won every major title there is. Shawn Michaels was not around for the US championship, but he was there for the European title. Shawn Michaels and Seth Rollins are both Grand Slam winners and have won every major title there is. So, not to mention, both men love to use super kicks and high flying aerials. So, that makes this match perfect. Two ladder match stars, not to mention, Seth Rollins has won ladder matches and Money in the Bank and had that iconic heist of the century at WrestleMania. So when you put the tail of the tape together, this has the makings of a five-star match. A five-star match that I honestly have no pick of who would win. Again, y'all got to let me know on this one. At number one, this was a match that almost happened if tragedy did not strike. And that at number one is Shawn Michaels versus Eddie Guerrero. Shawn Michaels once said many years ago, I mentioned earlier that Sting and Shawn sat down together for an interview on a Christian network. And Sting and Shawn Michaels brought up Eddie Guerrero, who had recently passed away. And they gave great comments about how both of them were believers. And Eddie Guerrero once said on a on a WWE magazine post when he was still present with us, he said that he would have loved to compete with Shawn Michaels because they have so much in common, including their faith in God. Nonetheless, their talent as well would have made a great match. Rumor has it that they were supposed to compete at the next year's WrestleMania, at WrestleMania 22. However, tragedy struck later on that year in 2005, and so that match never could happen. But Shawn Michaels did say that when they both make it upstairs to heaven, that in Shawn Michaels' words, we're going to have one of the greatest wrestling matches on the grandest stages. And it's not WrestleMania, but it is in heaven. And so when when the rapture comes, I will say this. When the rapture comes, I will be one of the first people to buy a ticket in heaven to see WrestleMania in heaven. Eddie Guerrero versus Shawn Michaels, because we can't get it here, but I know we're going to get it in heaven, and it is, I think it would be awesome. But who would win? Ugh, that right there is a really hard one. Shawn Michaels or Eddie Guerrero? Who do you think would win that match in Heaven's Arena or the Heaven Coliseum? Who would win that match? Nonetheless, those were the dream matches of Shawn Michaels that we won't be able to see. However, we did get a lot of dream matches, and if you haven't seen my top 10 review from last year on my favorite Shawn Michaels matches, be sure to check that out. And until next time, I'm your host, Stan Cody. That's all the time I have for you today, and I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling. And in honor of Shawn Michaels, if you're not down with the Heartbreak Kid, we got two words for you. Finish it for me. See you next time, folks.